So what I thought I'd share with you is, having been in business now for over 13 years, I wanted to share with you how in the past year and a half, we've really seen quality assurance, quality control software testing starting to evolve. So there are certain areas where we're starting to get a lot of requests for our testing expertise. Some of the areas that I'm going to talk about are just very briefly mobile applications. I'm going to discuss cloud services, DevOps, continuous integration, and then I'm also going to focus a little bit more on Internet of Things. If I were going to focus on types of testing, without a doubt, it would be application security is something that we've seen significant growth on in the past year. But again, I'm just going to focus more on these, which are more methodologies or environments, if you will. And again, please ask any questions. So when you think about it, there are obviously risks associated in regard to software testing when you're talking about new technology. It might be unproven. So what might be some of the challenges when it's unproven technology? If you had to test something, what might you think would be a big challenge if it's unproven technology? So one thing to think about is a test case. A test case is pretty simple, and you have actions and you have expected results, defined expected results. If it's unproven, then a lot more of your testing becomes theoretical, and you're crossing your fingers hoping that it does what you think it's supposed to do. So in other words, you might not have the defined expected results. Technology might be incompatible with other implemented technologies. How many of you have recently upgraded, I'm going to use the air quotes, upgraded to Windows 8 and found that there were conflicts with software that you already had installed on your machine? So that's what we're talking about there. And you know, a lot of times you're going to have no idea that will happen. So that's another big challenge when it comes to new technology. New technology is obsoletes existing implemented technologies. So now you've got this new technology, and it's coming out so rapidly that the previous technology is already obsolete. So think about that from a testing perspective. If you're an organization, then you have to ask yourself, okay, how many of our users out in the real world are still using that technology? How many different versions of my system or application do I have to maintain? Because the more versions you have to maintain from a testing perspective, the more challenging that's going to be. Variance between documentation and technology execution. So I think you've all seen, you know, they tell you to read the manual, and then you find out that the manual's wrong or it's just not there. So that's all that's talking about there. Obviously, that would be a challenge if you've got to do testing. Staff not competent to use new technology. So one of the challenges with mobile testing is that we've got customers that are looking for very strong expertise when it comes to testing mobile applications. But to be honest with you, it's only been a few short years that mobile applications have taken a boom. I mean, you know, with the Play Store and the Google Store, etc., there's so much now that you can download. So it becomes much more difficult to find individuals that truly have expertise. I mean, I'm out there, you know, searching for individuals with mobile application testing expertise, and the closest I can find is developers that have had the expertise in developing those applications, and typically they have more expertise in unit testing. Ask them about integration testing, system testing, performance testing, they might not have that expertise. So obviously that's another challenge. Technology is not incorporated into the organization's work processes. So remember that in the testing effort, you've got people, you've got processes, and you know, you've got to make sure that they fit in with the technology. Too often individuals forget about the processes that you have to incorporate. obsolete testing tools. Our organization, as I mentioned, Checkpoint Technologies, we're partners with a number of different technological organizations such as Hewlett-Packard. And one of their big challenges is keeping up with technology. I mean, think about the number of new phones that come out every year, the number of new operating systems. It's almost impossible to keep up with. And then inadequate vendor support. So that's just something you really have to vet at the beginning, but you can imagine the testing challenge that that might cause you if you're testing a third-party solution and that vendor doesn't support their own solution. So again, these are just some common risks, common challenges with new technology from a testing perspective.